We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.
Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Your Health is Your Choice, right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My guest today is Camille Jones. We're going to be talking about a very important subject, your discovery of your voice in your life. Have you got a voice? Have you given yourself permission to have a voice? And she says, dear women, I want to remind you that your voice is powerful. It's a powerful tool that can move mountains, change lives, transform the world around you. Often we may feel like our voices are not heard, they're dimmed or don't matter. However, it is essential to recognize that our voice is the gateway to our thoughts and our inner self. And when we open our mouths and speak, we reveal the beliefs, the values, the life story. Understanding the power of our voice can lead to the sense of wellness. Our voices allow us to express ourselves, to convey our emotion, connect with others, and release what we are feeling. Embracing the uniqueness of our voice and how to use it as a difference in the world. And she understands firsthand of how intimidating it can be. So we're going to be talking about your worth today. Her site is, we've got this mind and body, and we've got to realize that mind, body, heart, and soul are all a part of this. So your voice is speaking up for your mind, for your heart, for your soul, and for your body. And what you are saying to yourself or what you're saying to others is how others are going to receive you and interact with you. So it's really, really important, isn't it, Camille, that we actually do speak positively about ourselves, because if we speak negatively, that's what we draw the attraction to, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, the art of our language is super powerful. And especially when we think about the language, a lot of times we're thinking about the language that we're saying to others, when in actuality, it's a language that we're saying to ourselves. And even when we're saying it to others, when we're saying it out loud, we're already affirming what we are saying. And if it doesn't really genuinely align with your whole overall well-being, what you're doing is you're compromising your true inner self from the languages that do not align with your inner. And that's where we get a lot of that resistance, or, you know, a lot of the even communication breakdown.
Yes, communication breakdown with self.
Exactly. Oh my goodness, yes.
Conflict with self all the
Yeah,
time. You know,
yeah,
the inner voice is saying, no, 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 you are loved, and the outer
yeah,
voice, because of the expectations of
yeah,
the outside world, is saying, no, I'm unlovable.
yeah.
And it's just constantly bashing each other, aren't they?
Back and forth. Absolutely.
People will say, what's this got to do with your health? We don't
Mm.
realize of how detrimental we are to our inner core, our inner selves, how it breaks down our health one cellular level at a time.
100%. We need to understand that when we are speaking out, I always say the body keeps the score. If we're saying it out loud, like, I don't know how many of you all have ever walked past a mirror, you stop, you look at yourself, and then you look at yourself, and you go closer, and then you go closer, and you go, oh my goodness. First, when you first walk by, you didn't notice. And all of a sudden you start, oh, look at myself. I look horrible. I'm old. What's happening to me? And then you end up, your inner me becomes your biggest enemy. And when you are saying this to your reflection, it's bouncing back to you. That energy is going back. That body's listening. And that body's going to be like, okay, it doesn't know right or wrong. It's going to just, you ask it, it's going to receive it. So if you're saying this languages to yourself, the body, the mind, the soul, your health is going to say, okay, here you go. It's going to serve you. So that's why it's so important for us to be aware of our language. And that's the first key, is that self-awareness.
Yes. You know, we don't realize that today a lot of people are in a state of depression or anxiety and dis-ease. And a lot of it is to do with what's going on outside in the world. And we take
Right.
this outside world and we look at people with great bodies and fame and fortune
Yeah.
and think, oh God, I don't look like that, or I'm not as rich as that, I'm not as
Yeah.
important as that. And as we say that, as you said, the body receives all of this. And
Mhm.
then it starts diminishing its own self-value. All right.
Absolutely.
And then everything about you, your energy is running now on low. You're just sluggish. You haven't got any enthusiasm. You never mind confidence. You
Yeah.
know, that's a word that's somewhere else in a drawer in another room. But the systematic breakdown of ourselves is something we impose upon ourselves because we're so busy living this outside life and not an inside life.
That's exactly it. And I always say to people that there are
Hmm.
two parts of us humans. We have our physical, which is our body, everything that we could see,
Hmm.
that's tangible, that we relate to because of our perception of our eyes. Then there's the second part of us, which is our inner self, that spiritual self, that greater being, that subconscious, that lives in the unknown parts, the unseen, the ones that is all derived from feeling. And the
Hmm.
problem that we have now in this day and age is, especially how a lot of us have been raised, is to not acknowledge or accept any of the feelings that we have. Put it, you shouldn't feel that way. Stop crying. Don't feel like, why are you feeling that way? Just forget about it.
Get over it.
Get over it. All these things. And even though we are physically, verbally saying to the other person or even to ourselves, okay, we're just going to forget about it, our body still keeps the score. That
Mhm.
spirit is still being affected. That
Yes.
subconscious is just taking that as another seed and planting it. Is it the seed that you want planted in your subconscious? Probably not. But when we put attention to it, when we put focus into it, when we put that energy into it, it's going to manifest, whether we want it to or not. And that's why it's very important for us to understand that we need to align both our
Mm.
external is what we see, within our internal. And I'll tell you something, Sarah, when it comes to what I do with wellness, there's a lot of people, the first thing they think about is fitness or nutrition. And
Hmm.
even when I do my marketing, I
Hmm.
have to talk about fitness and nutrition as to get people in the seats. But
Exactly.
in actuality, the real essence of wellness comes from the work done within, comes from the work done
Trillion percent.
within. And then
Absolutely.
yeah, because once that work is done
Mm.
within, you get a different set of lenses that go on your eyes.
Yes.
All that distraction that you were talking about before, you
Yes.
will now understand that that is something that you can't control, but you can control how you accept it or what you focus it on.
Mm.
And you know what? With all of the chaos that I hear is going on in this
Mm.
world, I could tell you something. I'm living in harmony. I'm living in peace because that's where my lenses are. And that's what aligns both my inner and my external. And that allows me to even amplify and love
Mm.
into my body because of that feeling of harmony and peace because I created.
We are creatures that need to be in flow. Our blood needs to be in flow. Our oxygen in our
Right,
body needs to be in flow. The energy needs to be in flow.
right,
And if it's not in flow and it becomes stagnant, that's where things start breaking down.
right.
And if we're constantly feeding negativity or allowing negativity to feed us, it's breaking down the flow, it's breaking down the energy. And when you get that depleted energy, you just don't care about anything,
That's
right?
where it comes exactly. And
And
then that's
so
where the limits and beliefs come,
oh
everything.
yeah, exactly. That
Mhm.
you're right in the rabbit hole now, right? And once you're in that rabbit hole, it's damn hard to get back out of it, unless you say, "Oh, look, there's sunshine up there.
Yeah,
I'm in the
yeah,
clouds. I'm on a rainy day. There's sunshine up there. All
yeah.
I have to do is be willing to take that first leap, which is the first step forward towards the
That's right.
sunshine."
That's right. I always, there's that famous saying that says 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step.
Exactly.
And it's usually that single step that's stuck in quicksand, the
Mm,
quicksand of limited beliefs, past trauma that we don't even know is holding us dormant within. And
right.
even the worst one of them all is other people's opinions.
Mm.
Like
Oh my
that
God,
can,
that
it's the,
it's
that,
so detrimental.
it is. I always say people fear other people's opinions more than the actual failing of a act itself.
I know. I know. Why? Why? What has conditioned us to be like that?
I know what it is. You know what it is?
Oh, do share.
It is, it's not the fault of our parents or of society. It's how we were all conditioned.
Mm.
Think about when we were children. How many times have we heard, "Oh, Camille, what would the neighbors think if you did that?
Yeah.
Oh, don't do that. Your grandma's going to think this." Or, we have to do this because your teacher's going to think that. We have been instilled, planted in so much in our child adolescence
Yes.
of what other people are going to
Mm-hmm.
think about
Mm-hmm.
our behavior,
Mm-hmm.
where we slowly started to diminish our own sense of critical thinking. It wasn't intentional, it's just habitual in how we are raised in our society.
Yes.
And unfortunately, as we go on in life, we don't realize that we hold on to a lot of the things that we're taught as children, and they come out in different forms as adults, and a lot of it comes out in a form of a limit that we put on ourselves
Yeah.
because of learned behavior in the past or habits that no longer serve us.
I've interviewed an awful lot of people with autism. And although they have their own challenges and struggles like everyone else, one of the beautiful gifts, or a couple of them, is that generally they focus in on something and they become extremely good at it.
Yeah.
But the other thing is they have a very small circle. And that circle are energy vibed people that are there to support each other. We
Yeah.
as a society think that, the more likes we have, the more followers we have, the more people that are adoring us, the more validated we are.
Right.
And, I'm 68. I know the value of small groups
Yeah.
of people that you really know have got your back, that get your vibe, that really you share the positive energy with each other,
Yeah.
right? And I think that is a lot of this chasing something or comparing with people, or my value is only based if I could be as good as someone
That's right.
else. And it's like, change the dialogue, please. Change the dialogue of what you're saying to yourself, because that is really going to set the foundation, isn't it, as to where you're going next in your next chapter of life.
100%. That is it. And you know where it comes from? Again, that first step is that self-awareness. It's an
Mm-hmm.
understanding that this belief no longer serves you. This does not
Yes.
serve anymore. And now we're not gonna get stuck on the how are we gonna do it. We're gonna acknowledge. So how I do it, how I have done, I said how, but the ways how I have achieved that discovery of myself is by writing down my limits and belief on
Mm.
one column, and then write it down with just breathe and just write all of those
Yes.
things that limiting you. Just don't hold back, and then
No.
stop, look at it, and read it, and you will start to look at yourself and say, "What? This is how I'm thinking of myself." But now let's take it one step further. Now that we're reading it, sometimes I've done it before. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, Camille,"
You,
I'm
why are
like,
you
"Oh
so
my."
mean to yourself?
Right? So what I've done now is in that same sentence, I on the other side is I counter it with something that's positive. How can I change the
Mm.
language of that sentence into something that's positive? So when that limiting belief comes and says, "Camille, you are too old." This was one of the limiting beliefs I had with what I do at wellness, because I started later
Mm.
in the game. Longest time I would stay under the table because I felt like as if I was too old to even think about going into wellness. Like, how dare I? I'm not an ex-athlete. I'm not a 21-year-old who has all this energy. I'm not a vegan or somebody who has 30 years worth of experience. Who do I think I am? So that's what my limited belief. I am too old. And then my counter belief is I am as young as I know I am, and I am capable of all that I desire because I've woken up today to achieve a new day. And I just realized that there's no age limit to the new day. And when I looked at that, I was like, "Oh, so who's telling me that I'm old? Me." Because I
Yes.
know that
Yes.
I know, like, for instance, my 16-year-old tells me, "Mom, I'm too old for this." I'm
Mm.
like, so then that made me realize how that's just a language.
But
Change it.
you're missing a huge point in the fact that whatever age you are, look at the experience that you've gathered that now you
Yeah,
can apply to something that
that's
is
right.
meaningful to you. It isn't like, well, I'm too old to start this now. It's
Yeah,
like with all the wisdom and knowledge that I've acquired and the
yeah,
passion I have for this is the right time for me to
that's right.
start this.
In divine time. And
Yes.
we really have to decipher that, and we have to understand that it's not something that we can just write on a piece of paper today and it'll be eradicated and we'll never have these again. It's always a work in progress. We're
Yes.
always that saying that we're a masterpiece and a work in progress simultaneously. It is absolutely that, because our life is always in transition. We're always evolving, and we need to ensure as we're evolving, we're building on the wisdom. We're building on the lessons. We
Yeah.
are those fails that we had, we're scaling them, we're
Yeah.
readjusting them. And most importantly, we are understanding every experience, what that feeling feels like, so we could better navigate. Is this something that we want to continue on based on how it makes me feel? Or is it something that I want to process with? And what's great about that is if anytime a situation comes on and that feeling does come, I'm going to be more aware of the next steps I need to do, because I've taken that action of understanding it within my own being, within my own self.
Yeah.
So it really does help me in those limited beliefs.
Yes. I began with, you were saying, yeah, what I used to do with my coaching clients is the two columns, but one column of everything that was negative in your life and everything that you felt was against you and everything you felt about yourself. The other was everything you're grateful for, everything that is abundant in
Yes,
your life. And you'd see that being a tiny little paragraph and the other kind of going off the page. And then I would simply say to them, okay, now which one are you going to feed?
that's right. That's
Right?
right. I love
You
that.
keep feeding the negative is going to grow. Be
Exactly.
careful of what seeds you plant and
Yeah.
be careful of how you nurture and water them. Because if
Yeah.
you end up with weeds, you planted them, darling.
You're gonna get them.
Yeah.
Exactly what you said. Our subconscious, our universe doesn't know right or wrong or what's
Hmm.
good or bad. It only knows what we ask it of.
Instruct it. We're
Yeah,
instructors.
we tell them. Yeah, we're asking of it. So it's like, okay, it's like the a Bob Proctor book that I read, that he, because he's a huge fan of Earl
Yeah.
Nightingale, and
Yeah.
he talked about that whole seeding of in your subconscious. In
Hmm.
the same bed, you can have a bed of roses
Hmm.
and a bed of nightshades, or poison.
Yeah.
It's you pick your poison based on the seed that you plant, and
Yes.
it's on the inner belief, and it's through the action. And that's where I really derived my whole talk on, because I have a voice. It
Hmm.
really started from understanding that inner being, that understanding, the realization that I have all the keys I ever wanted in my life. I've always had them, and it's up. And now through understanding my own uniqueness, my own greatness,
Yeah.
my own beauty that I have within this beautiful world, just what I have to offer, because there's nobody in this entire world that's going to be me, going to
Hmm.
talk like me, birth the children as I.
Yeah.
So, what competition is there? There's none,
Right.
because of the fact that I'm unique to myself. Everything
Exactly.
that what I produce is going to come from my own vision. And I love to always remind people the beauty of us being these amazing creatures here on this earth is, yes, there's many of other creatures that are living, but when it comes to humans, we're the only ones that have that intuition,
Mm.
that innovation, the creativity, compassion. We're the ones that can laugh at a joke. You've never
Mm.
heard a dog telling another dog a joke and them laughing. We naturally can do this, and we know what laughter does for our inner.
Hmm.
But then on the flip side, we also are the only ones that worry about things, or where we're our pessimists, or narcissists, or
Mm.
all these negativity. And I say the wind never ever stopped blowing, and say, hey, I wonder if the sun would be upset if I blew too fast. It just
Yeah.
blows.
Yeah.
Right? There's so much of our life that still just goes on
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
with peace. So why are we as human beings putting so much on ourselves when we have so much beautiful natural greatness that we are gifts that the universe has given us? And one of those gifts is that gift of communication, that gift of the voice. And that's
Mm.
where I really, I see how I inhale, because it just really just bring me back into that sense of peace, because I
Hmm.
understood the power of the voice. And now I'm here as the messenger. And that's one of my passions, is to
Hmm.
continuously give that message and understanding. So I do break it up into an acronym. So it's all about understanding that power that we all have,
Yes.
whether it be physical, sign
Yes.
language, non-verbal, we still have ways where we could communicate that's similar to a voice.
Yeah. You know how we're drawn to people, and I say inspiration begets invitation. And when
Mhm.
somebody inspires us, we look at them as a whole being that is resonating and radiating self-love. and positivity, and we look at them and we look at them as so incredibly healthy and how they've all got it together, and that their passion and their conviction and their love of life and who they are is just bouncing off them. And we kind of like when Harry met Sally, I want some of that. Right? And we can get
Uh,
that if we are
yeah,
true to ourselves. And
yeah.
it's, but rewind their story, and their story, they had strife and struggles, they had
Mhm.
battles, but they stepped into their courage, they stepped into their strength, they discovered their abilities, and in doing so, they discovered their voice. And
Yeah.
the voice was true to who they are. And so when they get up and they speak and they resonate and they vibrate out all that love, it is their self-love. Not love of self, which could be narcissist, but it's
Yeah.
self-love. That love of, I love who I am, why I am, and what I'm doing, and I'm going to share that out with you. And we look at them as radiant creatures, healthy, vibrant, beautiful energy, and we want to be around that. Well,
Yeah.
we can also be that. We can be that to others that are seeking the same path.
100%. And that's the gift of the humanity. That's the gift of the human connection, the human cultivation.
Mhm.
And when we truly understand that our voice is the gateway to all of the greatness that we have, and when we have realize and understand that we're all born great, we're
Yeah.
all born great. It's a gift to be born. That's why
Mm.
today is called a present. So we celebrate it. And when
Yes.
we could truly celebrate every moment and others are recognizing, it's just like you said, it gravitates you. It's like a
Yeah.
Pied Piper. They want to feed into it. It becomes an addiction because
Yes.
of that beautiful flow of positive,
Hmm.
or that flow and frequency of love. Because
Hmm.
everything, when we do it in love, that frequency
Yes.
flows and it gravitates, it pulls people in,
Yeah. The
pulls
love
people
is the
in.
essence of everything, right?
It is.
Yeah.
And the thing with love, though, and what a lot of us humans have miscued is we tend to look for love in other things.
Or
When in
other people.
actuality, exactly, that's the key part is when in actuality, it starts within.
In.
And that's what wellness is. I
Mm.
feel like, again, a lot of people think when they see me, or they see what I do, what's one portion of it, they think that it's just the aesthetics.
Yeah.
But what I talk about with the fitness is nothing to do with the aesthetics as much as it has to do with you saying thank you to your body. You saying thank you and I love you. It's like having
Yes.
a rose that you
Hmm.
love so much that hasn't bloomed yet. So what are you going to do to it? You're going to pour adequate water, give it sunlight. You may even sing to it.
Hmm.
And then you're going to watch it bloom. And when it blooms, it's going to make your heart feel so good.
Yes.
That's what we need to do for ourselves. We
Exactly.
need to water ourselves. We
Hmm.
need to give ourselves that sunlight. We need to sing to ourselves so that our inner can also bloom. And when it blooms, that's when the radiance shines. And that's where the energy, the
Hmm.
confidence, the courage comes from.
Yeah.
And it really does start when you come with that inner love and that power through the voice. I'd love to share really quickly, if I may,
Mm.
Sarah, what the acronym for my voice
Yeah.
is. So I'm a huge acronym person because it's how my brain works. um, and I love this one because it's totally dear to me and it coincides with everything of what I do and why I even built up my business. We got this. So the word voice. V is for visualization. We need to visualize
Yes.
who we are becoming, that we are doing it in the now. See it, breathe it, think it. You could
Mhm.
smell where you are. What are you wearing? What is happening? Engulf it, get into that feeling. It's not just visualizing it, but getting into that feeling too.
Mhm.
Visualizing through the feeling. O is observing your own thoughts. You
Mm.
need to be your own observer. So sit down behind your own thoughts with a pen and paper, as I always say, that's how my brain works, and say to yourself, Camille, this thought that you have, is it serving you any purpose, or is it
Exactly.
something that you could counter? You can challenge your own self by observing the thoughts, the languages that are going in your mind, and if it coincides with what you're doing at that moment. I is intention. When we start living a life with intention, we'll start to see things don't happen to us by luck. They happen to us because they come through us through frequency, attraction, and through what we put out. So when
Hmm.
we use platforms such as LinkedIn or Clubhouse, not just to go and hang out,
You're right.
but we're using it with intention, we're going
Yeah.
to see all that we desire comes.
Hmm.
And then C, I have a double C. It is the first one is having the courage. When you start building up
Hmm.
the courage within your own self to know that your beauty is the essence of what makes you. It's not the comparing of
Mm.
anybody else. It is your own beautiful essence. You build up that confidence, and we all know confidence is key, because that's when we stand up in a crowd, not even outside of our comfort zone, not caring about other people's opinion, and standing in our own power. And E, which is my favorite, I call it emancipation. It's just like the Bob Marley song that he has. He goes,
Mhm.
emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None
Mm.
but ourselves could free our souls, our minds. And that's exactly it. When we are able to emancipate our own selves from
Yeah.
the mental slavery of
Yes.
limited beliefs, of all these negativities, none but ourselves can
Hmm.
free our minds. And when we free our
Mm.
minds, that's when we get that clarity. That's when we get that confidence. That's when the energy, that's when the universe says, you're well, thank you, you're welcome. Here you go.
Hmm.
These start to appear. And
We're
you never,
opened up to receive now, right? We
that's
haven't got
right.
any garbage in the way, right? It's just
No.
download. Yeah.
There you go. You download
Yeah.
it. And it really does derive through your voice, which is the voice of action,
Mm.
the voice of self-awareness of your own inner self, the voice of self-care. Understanding self-care is greater than just getting your hair and nails done.
Yeah.
The power of understanding what you even said, Sarah, earlier, of flow.
Yes.
Even in my calendar, I call my calendar flowetry. And it's
Mm.
because when we are in the optimal state of flow, it's just like when we're driving and we're like, oh my goodness, we got here. We didn't even realize it.
Yeah.
When we get into that, it's so peaceful.
Yes.
It's
It's
so
it's it's
winning.
it's
Mm,
easier. But
mm,
we put our own blockages in the way, but when we're in flow and we trust and we surrender to the flow and we go with the flow, we allow the flow.
yes,
I'm taking a beautiful ride that is easy and you're
yes.
at ease and everything is opening up to you, all that you need to know, all that you need to feel, all the opportunities and possibilities before you, because you are in sync and in flow and in allowing and in receiving, right?
Oh,
Because we're not dictating how it should be, we're allowing it to take us where we need to be.
oh, and you know, Sarah, I love these conversations because even when you're speaking, I'm listening to the words, but I'm flowing with the energy of the words. And
Mm,
when you're talking, it just exactly. And this is the alignment. And this is the
mm.
beauty when you can understand the flow of
Yes.
energy of your own self, that you are now able to hear the languages of others and
Hmm.
accept that language and let it flow through your own self.
Hmm.
And that's why we also need to be aware of, even when it comes to our wellness, our environment. So
Hmm.
having being in safe spaces such as yours, in podcasts that are just amazing as yours, Sarah,
Thank you.
it really does amplify the listener to get into their own flow,
Hmm.
right? There's power and energy of the environment that we're in
Yes.
and that we even are listening to. And
Yes.
just even what you just said there, you just put me like I'm right now high on flow.
Yes. It's where it's the high you want.
Mm,
I
beautiful.
as I said, I am 68 and I was always very, very spiritual, finding it really
Mm,
hard to live the human life because humans can be so cruel to each other. And then I went through
mm,
the human adult life where it was like, well, if I just please them, they'll love me. Or
mhm,
if I just do what they want, then they'll be happy with me. But that was at the expense of my own happiness. I
right.
forgot my own spiritual voice. I forgot my own purpose for being here. And it took a while for me to get back to that. But when I got back home to self, when I came connected again to self, it was
Mm,
I am myself and the universe are back in sync. We are at one again. And in doing these shows, which just had my 11th anniversary, it is what I've learned about myself and but other beautiful human beings like yourself who are taking this journey. You've taken the journey so that you can allow other people to become the essence of who you now have become through your own self-discovery. And that again goes back to the inspiration begets the invitation, right?
that's right.
When you're
That's right.
inspired, you are invited to kind of take that journey along with other people. I want what she's got.
That's right.
I want that feeling.
that
And that's
feeling.
really what's really important. Now, you've got an ebook that you give people called Let It
Yes,
Flow,
yes,
appropriately here.
yes.
And how do people get this ebook? You know, that
So
seems.
I have a link. It's a free ebook, and it's all about understanding the flowetry, as I call it, the flowetry
Mhm.
of self-care and self-love. Again, the care and the love are I love abbreviations.
Yes.
So they are, or sorry, not abbreviations, acronyms. So you'll see they're all broken down, and the love and the care, and absolutely beautiful. I don't want to let the cat out the bag. So I would love, love, love for you all to click the link. There's a link that I will be providing that you can have access to download this amazing ebook. It was done with love and care, and I
And
am
flow.
and flow, of course, because it was all written in flow. That's why,
Yes.
I could have called it a self-care, self-love book, but
Yeah.
when I was finished, I was in such flow.
Yes.
It's like, let it flow, baby, let it flow. Because I love that you said about what you say, inspired, because for me with inspired too, and I love that
Mm.
you talked about in spirit, because inspired is also being in spirit.
Yes.
And that's how I love, and that's this book here is all done through inspiration and done with self-care and self-love and excitement for everybody else to take that action on themselves.
When you ignite your heart and soul and your
Mm,
spirit, you are truly now connected to all, to all.
mm,
You are in a state of love. You are in a state of purpose. And when you ride that beautiful flow, it
mm.
lets the human side of you know where you're going and what you're doing. And your body is now at ease because it's in flow. Everything is dancing, everything is in a rhythm. And even if you don't know something in the moment, all you do is ask the universe, and the knowledge will be presented, the knowingness will be presented. You just take life with much firmer steps because you know that you're in trust. You're in trust. But without that spirit, without that soul guidance, I call it the knowingness. When the soul is ignited with the wisdom and it comes through you into the heart embraces that knowledge and trust, and it gives it to the spirit. And the spirit is the action that then goes to the mind and extracts from the mind what it needs to know in the now. And
In the
now
now.
you are in knowingness.
Drops mic. That was absolute. I had to say that. Drops mic. I just went on a beautiful spiritual journey with you, Sarah. And I love that because so many of us, exactly what you said, is that so many of us are not really even in that spirit mode or recognizing it because we're
Mm.
so caught up in the physical world,
Yes,
right? I
yes.
always say we're all spirits having a human experience, but
Mhm.
because the physical is what we see, what we label, the Tao, all of these, now, when we truly understand that the power comes from the unseen, from
Mm.
the faith, from the spirit, from the frequency, from the
Mhm.
love,
Mm.
are we truly able to really gravitate and embrace that healing frequency, right? So
Yes,
much that even when we speak to each other, we're bouncing back
yeah.
that great karma frequency. We're continuously
Mm.
flowing it. I call it the infinite eight energy,
Yes,
constant motion, constant flowetry. I love
yeah.
it. I love when
I love it when
you,
you find something that kind of
yeah.
it
See, I
kind
just
of is like
have,
it's the whole part of your body elongates. It's like, oh, a wonderful stretch, isn't
ooh,
it?
oh, and a wonderful stretch with that exhale.
Yes, yes, yes. I
It's
mean,
like, oh,
we talk a lot, where when you're looking at the body and the body is in stress and it's in anxiety, what happens? We stop breathing. But when we
mm,
take that breath and just let it out, and we do that a few times, we can feel the body relax. You're then opening up to that divine essence of
mm,
who you are and allowing it to come in and flood you, completely flood you. And now
mm,
you actually
mm.
can see the solution in front of you and not the problem because you've allowed everything to flow within you.
That's it. And that's where the unknown becomes known and becomes
Yes.
seen because of the allowance, because
Yeah.
of the understanding, and because of the work. And that's why I say I'm an action taker. We talk, but we have to do the work. And when we do the work, we're rewarded with that essence of
Yes.
limitless abundance of feeling. And when that feeling comes into play, no longer do our minds of the physical get stuck on the how is it going to
Yeah.
happen. It just is. It just
It just is.
happens. It
It
just
just is.
becomes. Mm,
It just is.
Sarah.
You talked
Mm,
about Bob Marley and you talk about, and then I have a guilty pleasure of interviewing musicians. And
mm,
one of the reasons I love it is because they're already a spirit. They are spirit. They are the instrument they are, whether it's voice or
oh,
whether it's instrument. And, it's just taking a wonderful groove, just
mm,
taking a wonderful groove with them, with their story and with their music and their why and the rhythm of life. And if we
mm,
could get out of understanding, you need to feel. No, it's not just touching yourself and I need to feel. All right, I need to feel thin, or I need to feel this,
mm,
the feeling of your beauty. And I'll give you a
mm,
quick example. There's a
mm,
young girl that I interviewed a few years ago called Keshi, and she was a
mm,
burn victim. 65% of her body burnt through a plane crash. And I had interviewed her, and she so inspired me. And then the next year, I found her on America's Got Talent, the 2017,
mm.
and she's clearly disfigured because her scalp was burnt. An immediate reaction for people was like,
Yeah.
how we react. And then she explained her story and she sang. And when she sang, the beauty of everything that she is and all that she's gone through and all that she's survived just came out and made her the most beautiful person in the world.
Oh,
And she made it right up very high. She came back for the champions and made it up again. I've interviewed her 3 times. Every time she
oh,
leaves me with something special. And it's
yeah.
it's not about, yes, we can take care of the outer body, right? We, look after your outer body. Yes, it's okay to feel beautiful and look
Mm-hmm.
beautiful, but don't rely on the exterior to take care of the interior, because if
Interior.
the interior is ugly, you're going to be, no matter what plasticine you've
Absolutely.
got on. If the interior is beautiful, no matter what you think are flaws on the outside, people will only see the inner beauty.
That's it, that part. And I love that you said about music because
Mm.
a little know about Camille Jones is I am a lover of everything music. I actually don't
Yes.
watch TV.
Hmm.
I have a jukebox that plays in my brain 24/7. I actually am a part of a women's network, a platform group, and they call me the let's break for the music. Because I always say when we're doing business, let's stop and let's listen to music and let it flow because we have to remember
Yes.
something. Even whether you're religious or not, even in churches, there's music because the
Yes.
spirit flows
Yes.
with the frequency of the sounds. And then when we have beautiful artists that understand the frequency of sound and align it with
Mm.
words that just speak to the soul, right? That language
Yes.
mixed with the music. You could just get lost in a song and you're just getting lost in the vibration, you're
Yes.
getting lost in the tones, and exactly what you said, gone are anything physical.
Yeah.
We don't even see the physical anymore
No.
because we're flowing
It
through
realigns us. It's the same if you were
mm,
suffering from depression. For me, I get that, and then music, it realigns me, it recalibrates
right.
me, it puts me back in flow. And when you've got, mine is kind of American, the blues, the R&B, again
Music
the music that
that just yeah, yeah, I
get your
love
teeth
it.
into.
Yes.
Yes, it's like, oh, I can feel it down in my soul.
Mm.
That's yeah, that kind of music.
Girl, you speak my
It is
language.
like a delicious meal. It's nectar, and
You know
it's
that you and I are the same with this music because we need to find it somewhere where nice and we can just sit there and just
yeah,
because we are just
yeah. It's
mhm.
gobble it up, and because we've also got to understand a music, whether it's the words you're listening to or the music that you're listening to. It's that voice that's speaking
Mm,
beyond your brain, which is
mhm.
dictating and full of garbage half the times. And it's speaking to your heart, soul, and your spirit.
Yeah.
And it's telling you to, hey, ignite this, feel this, calm
Mhm.
the mind, stop
Mm.
the chatter of the mind, just get into flow, get into sync, get into where you can feel every muscle in your body moving. And then, oh, clarity, clarity.
The clarity,
Ah,
the clarity,
yeah.
the peace, and
Yes.
all that it truly does build it. And we see it like we see it with. I used to work with special needs,
Hmm.
children with special needs, and we would use different activities with music, with
Hmm.
sound, right? It's all the same stuff. Even when we go for nice nature walks, the sound of nature is music too. Just even
Yes.
with the birds,
Tweet, tweet,
when you
tweet, tweet,
understand,
tweet.
yeah, and when you truly understand, and you know what? When we're talking about all this, what are we being reminded of? the power of the unseen. We
Yes.
can't see music, we feel it.
Mm-hmm.
We feel it. We feel that vibration. That's why we can really connect with it on a greater level.
Yeah.
On a greater level, we could connect to it even more than we can. Even if I were to, like, I could read out lyrics of a song, but then when I sing it, it flows completely differently
Yes,
because of
exactly.
how the sounds of the unknown go. And
Well,
girlfriend, you just got me in such a
I
flow.
know,
I
I know, I
love
know.
it.
When you're watching these shows, which I do watch these musical shows, and you've got
Mm,
people that sing absolutely technically, and they're great, and the voice sounds great, they're in pitch, and then you have that someone that comes out, they're not singing from the head.
yeah.
It's coming from this ball in their chest. It's coming from the stomach. It's coming from the ache in their body.
Mm,
It's coming through them in such a way that
mm.
even if they crack or even if they're off this or that,
You're
what is
mesmerized.
music made to make you feel? Feel.
Yes.
It is
Feel.
there to make you feel. And if you're not
There you
feeling
go.
something, well, that sounds good. But if you're not, oh, that makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Right? That's what
Yeah.
music is meant to do, is make you feel good. Why do we dance to music? Because it gets us up on our feet and it wants us to move our bodies and be a
Yeah.
part of the music. It's an invitation,
That's
right?
right.
It's
Mm,
another voice. And I think sometimes we aren't kind to ourselves when we speak to ourselves. Why don't we pick a favorite song
mm.
that is a love song and sing to ourselves, right?
Okay, it's official, Sarah. You and I think we were twins in another life. It's official.
We're
It's
just in
it's
sync. We're in sync.
yeah, yeah. There's yeah, like everything you say, it's exactly what I say, and I feel, and I believe, and I preach about the frequency of the music and how
Mm.
it just aligns with our inner. And when we
Yes.
really engulf it and embrace it, and
Yes.
there in all different areas of life, we can really get into that flow state. That's why even some people listen to music when they sleep because it puts them into that
Yeah.
trance too,
Yes.
right? Mm,
Yes.
I just love that. That was
You
so
know, I have a
exciting.
2-year-old grandson, and
Mm,
we 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 kind of have our own little special language. Blah, 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 all sorts of things going on there. And it's just wonderful to watch him kind of mimicking me. And when I play, because when I'm there, I kind of play some Marvin Gaye, or I play some Nat King Cole, or I play some Americana blues. And then just to watch his little body where he just starts bobbing up and down to it. And it
mm,
is just so
mm,
gorgeous to see that, because the very first inch thing I bought him was one of those gongs that you press, like
mhm, yeah, yeah.
and it's too mature for him right now, but I wanted him to have it so that one day he could start making sounds himself, when he's ready.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I mean,
It's really
it's
cool. Hmm.
when we're talking about a voice, we've got to understand the voice isn't just the spoken word. It's the inner voice. It's the body's voice.
Mm.
It's the attitude voice. It's the detriment to self voice. When we're being nasty to other people, we're actually reflecting how nasty we're being to ourselves.
That's it. You nailed it right there. And this is what I teach my kids
Mm.
because we are now at a stage and age in our lives, Sarah, just as you're doing with your grandchild, that we can share with the next
Yeah.
generation, with our legacies, tips that they can catch a lot sooner than we did
Yes.
because we are now exposing them to things that we weren't, again, it wasn't intentional. It was just the era. It was a time of where we were living, where it's not, where the information isn't as, it wasn't as available to us. But now we have that ability. And now we can actually put into play, into practice with our next generation. And I tell this to my children all the time. Like we're a huge music family. We're a huge instead. I always tell my kids now, I want to know why you're feeling. I mean, tell me your feelings.
Yeah.
I want to let's talk about it. How does it
Yes.
making you feel? What is your opinion on? I want them to really build up their critical thinking
Hmm.
so that they could get more into their inner because that critical thinking is really your spirit speaking. It's
Yes.
that understanding of the two sides of you because we're taught all throughout school physical, you go to school, get a job, get married, have a kid done.
Conform,
No,
conform, obey, conform.
that part,
Resistance is
that
futile.
part. And if you resist, you're a bad guy,
Yeah.
right? And then you have all these stigmas on you, right?
There
It's
is
just
no box I've ever fitted in. Every box has ejected me.
every box, there's no cookie cutter. I have
No.
not fit in any socket myself,
Yeah.
girlfriend. And you know what? Because of that, and until I've gotten older and realized how it all goes, for so many years, I battled anxiety,
Yeah.
depression,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought I was the biggest burden in everybody's world.
Yes.
I was, and
Yes.
I tell you, I had
I
the first form
relate.
of anorexia, everything. I had
Mm,
all of that because I just felt like my voice didn't matter. I
right.
didn't matter. So if my
No.
voice didn't matter, that means I didn't matter, right?
Right.
So when I think about that, I'm feeling that feeling again right now, even when I talk about it.
Yeah.
And I accept this feeling because I'm aware of it. And I'm aware of how powerful I know my voice is because when it's silenced, that burden feeling comes. And I don't like that feeling. That feeling does not align with who I am in the now.
Right.
I accept it, but I don't allow it.
You give it love. It's that inner child looking for approval. Just say, look, I love you. I nurture you. But that frequency, I invite you to rise up with me. Right, because I'm not
Exactly.
resonating on that frequency anymore. It's the same with the people you have around you. You know, while you're in transition of your own self-discovery, your own
Mm,
growth, you will get people that will come around you that will be piranhas as they see your energy grow and they want to suck that energy out of you. It is sometimes you almost need to kind of isolate yourself while you're in those first stages so that you can
yeah.
discover your own energy and then be able to read those positive energies that you can rise up to rather than allowing those other energies to suck you back. Because if they see you
Yes.
rising up, they want you miserable like them and they want to keep you down.
Well, they see that opening, right? They
Yeah.
see that gateway to go in.
Hmm.
And this is where we need to have that self-awareness. That's why that's our self-awareness, our indicators are our feelings, are
Yes.
our emotions. Instead of, and again, us women have been told many of times that we're too emotional or we shouldn't feel this way. Forget about that. Forget about that. Your emotions is your inner and it is your spirit. It is your guidance. It is your direction. But you have to remember something too. If you don't have control over your own thoughts and your own
Hmm.
emotions itself internally, you can let it go. And
Tornado.
because yeah, a tornado. And it's
Yes.
because that's the human side of us because
Yeah.
our spirit understands that while we're living in this physical world, we're going to be inundated with so much information.
Yeah.
So much we have so much information, we get information overload
Yes.
that
We do not know how to compute. Yes.
no, and
Yeah.
that's why our brain will try to compute it, or
Yeah.
that's why when we get focused on something, just like for instance, if we get a new car, all of a sudden we see the same car everywhere
Yes,
we
I
drive.
know.
You didn't see it
Yeah,
before.
I
You're like,
know.
where did that come from? It was always there, but your
Yeah.
brain was focused on something else, but now
Hmm.
your focus is on that. So that's all you see. And that's the same thing with everything that we do when we're in understanding our inner selves. Is what we focus on is what we're going to see, and that's what we're going to cultivate and create. And that's why there's power in understanding and knowing thyself and knowing that this is going to happen regardless. You're going to have these feelings, you're going to have these limits and beliefs. And how, not even how, sit back and be that observer of your own thoughts and think about, are these aligning with the vision that I have for myself? Is this aligning with the intention of the work that I'm doing? Is this going to build up the courage and the confidence that I need to emancipate my own self from any mental slavery that once held me
Yeah.
back due to past trauma or dormant feelings that I never ever released? See, it
Yes.
all goes hand, it's a domino effect.
Yeah,
And
it
that's
is.
what true wellness is.
Hmm.
So even when we think about health, let's stop
Hmm.
waiting until we get a health scare or at this age or
Yes.
that. Let's
Hmm.
look at health as our true wealth of us being able to
Yes.
enjoy this beautiful physical world while we're here. One time with this spirit, we get to enjoy it. But let's enjoy it to the best that we can and to the best of our abilities and not allow the resistance and the distractions to just overtake this one beautiful life. This spirit chose us. We are
Yes.
gifts. They chose us to live a life of abundance, to live a life of limitless. So
Hmm.
we need to stop limiting ourselves on things that haven't even happened, on
Right.
fears of the unknown
Yes.
or of stopping us because of failures of the past. Because what I see
Right.
failures are a way that we scale. And I don't know about you,
They're
Sarah, but
lessons. They're just lessons learned.
there's
That's
lessons
all.
exactly.
Failure
And
to
I don't
me is
know,
when you give up altogether, right?
that's when you fail. And I don't know
Yes.
about you, Sarah, when you had your children and they were learning to walk, did you just say to them, you know what? You've fallen about 5 times. Just give it up. Just crawl for the rest of your life.
Yes.
So why do we do that as adults? Why do we do that as adults?
Because
We are
because we're living by the expectations of other people's dictation. And what we have to look at is
that part.
society itself is broken. Society itself and its entire paradigm of what
Yes.
it expects from us is unrealistic, it's
Yes.
delusional. And the more and more that we become our own beautiful essence of who we are, the more and more we
Mm,
not only step into our own enrichment and abundance, but we step
mm,
into our own health, our own wealth of our health. The more positive we are, the more we shine bright for others, the more we
right.
elevate to a higher frequency, and the more of us that elevate to a higher frequency, the more the planet is saying thank you because it's not
Thank you.
receiving the thunder of anger all the time. The more the universe
Exactly.
says, welcome, I can now connect with you. And then we
Yes.
really do to start to actually understand what we're doing here as human beings. And we're here to support each other. And we can't support each other if we're constantly broken. So our
Exactly.
health is our choice. Our mental health is our choice.
Mm,
Our well-beingness is our choice.
mhm,
Everything is a choice. Choose what you feed. Choose
mm,
what you speak.
mm,
Choose the way you wish to be
mm.
and
That.
immerse yourself in that choice. Nurture yourself in that choice. Be that love you seek.
Mm,
Be that peace you seek. Be that purpose you wish to be.
mm. And that's it. Is I love that you said and I say with my eyes open and I have my arms up to receive is to understand. Let's
Mhm.
all just receive the fact that we have the gift of
Yes.
choice.
Yes.
What you're saying there, just I accept the gift of choice of my own life. I accept the gift of the light that flows through me. I accept the love of frequency that flows through me and I'm able to release to others. I
Mhm.
accept it because I have the choice. I love that, Sarah. That was beautiful. Oh, I could ride and rock with you all day.
I know you have to go,
I know,
which you didn't, but you'll have to come back again. We'll have to
yes, we
ride
have to do
another
this.
wave. Yes, most
Oh,
certainly. Um, again, you were
beautiful.
willing to redirect in your life. You were willing to see, it doesn't matter how capable I am and what I'm doing. I'm not fulfilled.
Oh,
I'm not living up to my true abundance, or I'm not living my true purpose. And I started this 11 years ago at 57. It's never too late. The oldest
mm.
person I've interviewed was 92, had started at 90 her own TV show
Oh
and
my
took a
gosh,
new
I love
lover. So, it was
it.
never ever too late in life. In fact, the older you are, the more wisdom you've
Mm,
learned. And so now more abundant you can be in what you're doing. So just it's never ever too late. And it is actually imperative
mm.
that you speak lovingly to
Right.
yourself, that you love on yourself, that
Yes.
you nurture your heart and your spirit and your soul, you hug your body,
Yes.
and you tell it that thank you. Thank you
Right.
for carrying me. Thank you for
Mm,
supporting me. Thank you for loving me. Let us do this together because there's so much more to do, and I am capable of doing it.
that part. And I love that. And let's just drive this home with this too here, Sarah. That amazing information that we both have given today. I would love for our listeners a
Yes.
little task, a little homework for them that they could do is I challenge you all from everything that we have been talking about and learning, getting into your own feeling, getting a pen and a piece of paper and write your own self a love letter. Write
Mm-hmm.
yourself a love letter to you.
Mm-hmm.
Write
Mm-hmm.
yourself that love letter and let it be through flow, through all that we've learned. If you have to put on that music,
Yes.
you have to go into that walk,
Yeah.
that piece of silence. Just love into you. And you just fold up, and this is something that you could put in a cupboard anywhere where you can go back to it and read it. Or it's something that you could decide what you want to do with it.
You
But
could
write the
record it
power. You
and
could
keep playing the record
record it.
back, whatever you wish to do, but
Whatever
just
the action is,
let it
doing
go.
it
Don't think
exactly.
it, right? Don't think
That's
it,
it. Don't think
feel
it.
it. Yeah.
Flow
Let
it
it go.
like as if you are
Yeah.
Prince Charming for yourself.
Yes.
Right? I'm waiting for the day that Disney makes a movie. So Disney's done well, has
Lately.
gotten
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
lately. Because growing up, it was all like we see
Hmm.
one guy was supposed to fall in love in horse and carriage, and that's supposed to be great.
Yes.
Then they moved it into women being brave or
Yes.
being able to do what boys can't do with the Mulan and Brave. Then it
Yes.
went to Frozen, where you don't need to have a love from a significant other. It could be from a sister or a
Yeah.
family, a friend,
Yeah.
or an animal, such
Hmm.
as with Lion King. Now I'm waiting for Disney to create a movie on loving thyself.
Yes.
What about, building love of me?
Yes.
That's and I just say that I always use Disney as an example because they go through all of the different viewpoints of love,
Yeah.
and we're teaching them to such young children. Let's teach them also about that inner love too.
Let's teach them that the most important thing for their generator, for their
Mm,
life's generator, is love. And the
mm,
more love that you feel, and the more love that you share, the more love your generator will produce.
mm,
And that when you do things, people say to me, who do you interview? Because I have 19 different genres here. And I go,
mm,
everybody who comes from the heart. When
mm,
they're coming from the heart, they're coming from their truth,
mm.
no matter what they're doing. And
Right.
when you come from that heart, you are wanting your heart space to ignite love in others
Mm,
so they feel what you're feeling.
that's
When
right.
you come from the heart, you are being honest. When you come from the heart, you are being of service. You
That's
are
right.
in that divine truth. And
Mm,
when you live in the heart, it doesn't matter what else is wrong around you.
mm, mm.
The heart is the truth of what is right.
That's right. Oh, Sarah, I could talk to you all day. Honestly, honestly, and everyone listening, is such a beautiful honor to have such amazing conversations
Well, I'd love
in
you
the
to come
flow.
back, I mean,
Oh,
because
this
we've
was
definitely got more to
beautiful.
talk about,
Oh, we
definitely. So,
do.
but
And
in the
I
meantime, my
also,
darling, how do
mhm.
people get hold of you
Yes.
and be inspired by you further and what you're doing, what you're offering people?
Awesome. So first and foremost, I am offering my ebook to
Hmm.
everybody. Would love, love, love to get some comments, some feedback.
Hmm.
I'm always open for feedback because I always want to be able to elevate and just how has it helped you or what does it mean to you? And for myself, my handles, my business is called We Got This Mind and Body. So
Hmm.
you could find me on We Got This Mind and Body on Instagram, Facebook. And on LinkedIn, I am Camille Jones 88 because 8 is my favorite number. It's
Mine
infinite
too.
energy.
It's actually a very
That's what,
positive, abundant number too.
yeah, it
Yes.
is. It is.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I do LinkedIn rooms every single week on LinkedIn, all about on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and it's all about truly having that voice and women's corner for wellness as well as business and having opportunities to connect and collaborate. And so I would
And
love, love,
for
love.
people who need to spell your name, it's
ILLE.
Camille
Yes.
Jones, Jones,
Yes.
88.
Yes.
And
I actually have an easier way. I just realized as you were saying, as you said my name, I have a website called Meet Camille.com. So MEETCAMILLE.com. And that actually has all of my handles. So you could get access to if you would like to book a call with me, my
yeah,
Instagram, my websites. I also do Juice Plus because I'm all about whole foods. So everything that I'm doing,
as I said, you have to come
all
back.
there.
There's more. There's a lot more to
Yeah,
talk about. You got
no,
to
I
come
have
back.
time. Let's
Yes.
do this, girl. Let's do this. I'm
Yes.
ready. I'm game. This
And
is
folks, for who
beautiful.
are just listening, remember whatever platform you're listening on, under the description is a link back to her show page with all of her links on it. And we would love to hear comments back from you. And yes, we're going to talk about juicing and all the other things that you can do to take care of your body and your wellness, because there's so much more to still have in this conversation. And I think each of us will bring a piece of music to the table as well, right?
Ooh, let's do that. You are speaking all my jam because you know what? Now that we're understanding the realization of our inner spirit, now we're going to bless it with the beauty of nourishing it with great
Yes.
foods. We're not
Yes.
dieting because I don't know about
No,
you,
no,
but I
no,
get
no, no. It's
hangry.
lifestyle. It's
Yes,
lifestyle, not
lifestyle. I
diet.
don't
Yeah.
diet because I get hangry. You don't want to see
Yes.
me hangry.
No, no,
So
me neither.
yeah, I'm all about great food because I love to eat, but
Yes.
I also now understand what types of food are nourishing my body, that's feeding the
Right.
good bacteria.
It's also been learning to eat without guilt, but it's also been able to eat the foods that are your guilty pleasures that are just better for you than some
Exactly.
other foods.
Mindful
Don't
eating.
deny, because if you deny, then you start feeling guilty and angry and everything else. But
Yeah.
it's moderation. right?
Exactly.
You can have
Exactly.
your pleasures in moderation, but that's the
Yeah.
next show, all right?
Do it. Let's do it. I'm excited. I'm excited.
It is truly been wonderful having you here today, and you are most certainly coming back. And folks, please, I always encourage people to have podcasts, like book clubs, podcast clubs, where you listen to a show and then you all kind of take your own notes and sit down and discuss it. Because through that discussion of what you've heard and what had an impact on you, and now sharing it with others, it opens up the conversation to so much more. And it
Yes.
really is something quite exciting. So thank you so much, Camille. And to everyone else out there, remember, love, love of
Mm,
self, love of life, love of everything else is what it's all about. So
mm.
until the next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tab at the top there and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.